Bandai Tamashii Nations finally give us young Sasuke in their S.H.Figuarts lineup. Let's take a look. Following on from the Uzumaki Naruto S.H.Figuarts, we've got Uchiha Sasuke. So both have been out for quite some time by the time these videos go up. Actually, I also have Orochimaru as well at this point, so it's been quite a few months. But here we have Uchiha Sasuke in his younger self, not the Shippuden version where he's got different attire and is obviously much older as well. Once again, ignore the ring light reflections there. So Sasuke looks okay in the box so far. I do recall the preview images of this guy looking a little bit off in my opinion, but he might be much better once we get him out of the box and have a closer look. So he looks not bad inside the box so far. Looks like his young self for sure. You got the alternate faceplates on the left side here. One of them is the Sharingan there, and then you've got a comical one as well. So just like Naruto, who also came with a comical one, he does too. He comes with one individual kunai. Maybe he might come with more. We'll have a close look at the back. I think there's something. I think it comes with a giant shuriken at the back there, plus the flame effect part. Oh, and a Chidori part as well. So he comes with a few different option effect parts versus Naruto, who only comes with the Rasengan. So this is similar sort of design in terms of the package as the young Naruto one and the Shippuden stuff as well that we've seen. It's quite nice and kind of light blue on the bordering, and then on the side you've got more pictures of the character getting ready for the Chidori, and then on the back some more poses. And a closer look, we do have Naruto there, sold separately of course, and then the Katon jutsu he's using, which is cool. And then on the other side Uchiha Sasuke top, and then the bottom. Let's have a close look at this S.H.Figuarts of Uchiha Sasuke. And here's everything you get with Uchiha Sasuke. You do also get the instruction sheet as well, just like with every other S.H.Figuarts figure. First, we'll start with the hands, then we'll go into the option parts and the faces. Finally, the figure. So jump ahead if you want to as well. So with the hands, he's got fists applied to him already. That's pretty standard for most S.H.Figuarts figures, not all of them, but most. We'll see the fists closer details soon. Then we've got the kind of hands that are closed palm hands. These are the kind of, hey, come on. That's a Terry Bogard reference there. Here's a closer look at these hands here. So you get a pair of these in a kind of skin tone that's slightly different from the Naruto one. So very, very slightly different, but it's still quite close that you might mix them up. You can swap hands with the figures, by the way. So if you have a Naruto figure, you can use these hands. But yeah, just keep an eye on the skin tone difference for them. That's a pair of hand for this. You get a pair of hand to hold the kunai. So he's got a pair of those. And that's pretty similar to what we saw with the Uzumaki Naruto one. I'm going to show you the kunai right now as well. So here's the kunai. It's exactly the same as what we saw with the Naruto figure as well. Take the little tab off the circular bit at the top and then feed that into whichever hand that you want, like this from the bottom, and then just replace the tab. It's quite small, so try not to lose it. I feel like it's slipping out of my fingers right now. Just replace that back, and then there we go. He's holding on to the kunai. It's quite simple to do. He only comes with one single kunai, just like Naruto as well. But if you've got both, you can have them dual wielding kunai just between them. Just means someone else is going to miss out on that. So you get that pair of hand. Then you get a hand to hold onto, or pair of hands to hold onto his Fuma Shuriken, which I'll show you just in a moment. We'll cover that in a second. But here's a closer look at those. You can see the fingers are kind of curled a little bit differently to what you might see in across other figures as well. But this is really to kind of get a decent-ish grip on the Shuriken and then have the thumb extended out as well. But like I said, I'll show that in just a moment. Then we get a pair of hands, which I really like. If you saw the Naruto video, Naruto only comes with one of these hands, the scrunched fingers hands. I really like these. I think these are really important to include for characters like this that kind of move around, jump around, and just really high action figures, right? So these hands are super important to have, I think. With Sasuke, you can use these in multiple different ways. You can use it for his Chidori. You can use it when he's just kind of angry. So many different ways you can use it for him. Then he's got two individual right hands, so not pairs. So just single right hand here. This one is going to be for his Katon Jutsu. So you just line that up with his mouth. And then I'm going to show you that right there. And then he just basically spits out the flame, right? And then he's got his jutsu hands. So surprisingly, he doesn't come with the kind of default one that I mentioned with Uzumaki Naruto, which is just one hand, right? But he's got one that's already paired up and joined like so. So this is part, I forgot which seal this one was. I can't remember if it's a tiger one. I'm not even going to pretend I know which one it was. One of those seals, and then he's already got this attached here. And then you will need to just kind of fiddle around with it a bit and then feed these into the pegs. So it's hands like this are always a little bit trickier personally to use because they're just usually together. Sometimes you can take them apart. I don't think with these ones you can, but yeah, just fiddle around with it. It's cool that they've still added it. You can get him into a nice kind of mid jutsu pose, so he's just kind of channeling it first. But those are his hands. We'll go into the faces now. before I go back to hand for the Fuma Shuriken. So, default face, no real expression. That's pretty much Sasuke. I think everyone kind of knows that. But, you know, he's not exactly upset either. Then the first alternate face we're going to take a look at is this one here, where he's got a slight smirk to him there. So you can see his eyebrows extend up a little bit, but then this little kind of flat edge bit will get covered by his headband, so don't worry too much about that. He's got pretty jet black eyes, a slight kind of white highlight dot in them. You can see, I'm going to zoom in just so you can see that clearly. There you go, the white highlight there. Otherwise, yeah, his eyes are always kind of jet black, right? And he's got that slight smirk as well. So I'm getting a little bit more used to his face for this figure. I don't love his faces personally, because I feel like just around here, around the, like underneath his chin, he just seems a little bit chubby. Like, not like, I don't know how to, yeah, chubby is probably the best way to put it. So it just seems a little bit weird to me. And depending on the kind of frame of the animation or screenshot, whatever, then sometimes sure he can maybe look like that, but definitely not how I would have done it personally. Anyway, the next alternate face you get is going to be where he does actually do the flame jutsu, the katon jutsu. So this one is him blowing out. So his cheeks are puffed out here, and then his eyebrows are changed as a result as well. So you're probably not going to really use this outside of that one individual jutsu. So yeah, not the most diverse face there. Then we come on to what's going to be a very popular face. Is going to be the Sharingan face, but this one is with him yelling, which I think slight missed opportunity. So it's not a bad face. This one is actually a very good face. I'm going to zoom in as well to show you the Sharingan Tomoe. This is a 2 Tomoe one. You can see that there. It's very good looking, and it's nice and clean as well, just like the Naruto ones. And I feel like he's not as chubby looking here. The only thing I say is a missed opportunity is because I've only given this one expression with the Sharingan. It would have been really, really cool if we had another face with slightly different expression with the eyes, or maybe just have interchangeable eyes for some of the other faces as well. Just because I think there's a bit more kind of expressions than just having him screaming. But it's a good face. This one is definitely a good face otherwise, and definitely one of my favorites when it comes to this package. Then finally, we've got a comical expression as well. Just like Naruto, he also comes with a comical one. Where you can use it in, again, different kind of expressions. He's slightly embarrassed or slightly cheesed off, different ways. It's a cool face. I quite like it. And pair it up with Naruto and it will look pretty decent. We're going to talk about his Fuma Shuriken now quickly. So Fuma Shuriken is this big giant shuriken that he has. And if you remember the anime and the manga, there's a kind of cool play that they both do when they're fighting Haku, I think his name was, and Zabuza a couple of times. And then he kind of does the, what's it called again, replacement jutsu thing. That was really cool. I really liked that moment in the anime and the manga growing up. Well, I say growing up. Yeah, I'd say growing up. But that was very cool to kind of see. So it's nice that he gets one Fuma Shuriken. Would have been cool if he got 2. But yeah, he comes with 1 and it looks good. Pretty decent quality. I don't feel like it's going to snap or anything like that. Bringing back the hand on how to just kind of equip this. On the reverse side, just try and line up the fingers other than the thumb. The thumb should kind of go on the outside like this, and then just kind of pull that in. It's not the sturdiest of fits, but play around with it and it should not drop. So there we go. That's applied there. Hopefully you can kind of see that, and it should be pretty decent. It looks okay from my angle. Personally, I prefer the thumb a little bit more on that, but it's fine. It gets the job done. It's not super loose either. So play around with it. Hopefully it's not going to be loose for you guys. But otherwise, this shuriken is pretty dope. Unlike that it included it. You get the Chidori or lightning effect part, which just plugs into the peg of the arm. No hand goes into it. I cannot remember which figure it was that also had this. It might have been the other Sasuke one, the Shippuden version of him. But yeah, it's pretty simple. I would say just be mindful of the kind of electricity effect bits kind of sticking out like here. They haven't damaged on me yet, but I do feel if you live in a hot climate, there's a good chance this might soften up too much and you might accidentally damage it. So keep that in mind for this. But otherwise, I do think this looks pretty cool. Yeah, nice that they include it. And then finally, we get his Katon Ball Jutsu here. So I've already put this onto the little base. Here you've got the arm. And then on this bit, it's actually just on a ball peg. Like so, it's a bit slippery, so I'm struggling to pull it off. It's on a ball peg, so you can articulate this. So if you want him jumping up and doing it, then sure, you can get him spitting it downwards, or if he's crouching, then sure, spit it upwards. So it's cool that it's on a little ball joint. That covers his accessories and option parts. Let's jump into the figure. Now this is the figure itself, and from the promo pictures, I haven't really changed my opinion too much. I do think he stands, when I say stands, I mean really just stands. He stands a little bit boring. He looks a bit boring to me personally. But once you get him posed up, he looks much, much better. You know, not every figure looks great just standing neutrally. So, you know, he doesn't look bad either. Let me correct that. He doesn't look bad. I just think he looks a bit boring. But yeah, I also just think, I don't know, there's just something that I can't quite put my finger on that doesn't look quite as good as Uzumaki Naruto. That figure was great. I love that figure. But let's kind of go through it a little bit more detail. So this is his regular face here. And maybe you can kind of see what I mean, that his face looks a bit puffy. I don't really like that. It just looks a bit too puffy for me. His hair doesn't look too bad. You know, it looks great. The bangs are fine. It's the spikes where mine are a little bit curved downwards. You can see, I believe that's just going to be inevitable. A lot of people might have that issue where they might curve downwards. You might be able to fix it if you just heat it up and then just kind of flick it up a bit. But that is something I did notice with him. His collar is fine. That looks good. It's a bit loose here. That's actually probably a good idea. Unfortunately, the Naruto one, that one had a stiff or stuck collar, so he couldn't move it, which hindered his head articulation a little bit. Fortunately for Sasuke, it's not going to be as much of a problem. Plus, he's got a bit of a longer neck, I believe, than Naruto. Then you've got the rest of his kind of t-shirt. Let's say it looks fine. It's plain. Looks okay. I do quite like this, by the way. It's a nice little kind of effect here. So it's a little bit more creased on his left side, and then it kind of, when you're leaning forward, it just kind of lifts up a little bit. So that's quite nice. So if you're going to get him into a nice pose where he's like mid-action pose, fly kicking, whatever he's doing, it does look pretty good. Of course, you've got the Uchiha fan symbol on the back as well, which is nice and cleanly done. And then you've got his pouch on the back too. And then also his armbands. These armbands do not come off. They are sculpted on. They look fine. It would have been good if you could remove them, because then you can get a slightly alternate look where he doesn't wear those. But it's fine. They've kind of done it like that. Same with the patch or pouch around his right leg. That one, if you remove it, you're going to remove the entire, what's the word? Leg. You're going to remove this entire piece of his shorts. So yeah, you can't do much with that. The left side is plain, and then he's got the wraps around his calves, which are fine as well. Those you can't remove either, which is fine. I think that there's no version of him where he removes that, so it's fine. And then he's got the same shoes or sandals as all the ninjas have, so same as Naruto as well. One of my feet, I think is this one, is a little bit loose, so occasionally it just pops off the peg. If that does happen to you, just pop it right back on. Fortunately for me, I didn't have any breakage with my Sasuke figure that I did have with my Naruto one. Yeah, touch wood, that doesn't happen during this kind of look at this video of this figure. So yeah, in general, the way he looks, it's fine. Bit boring for me, but once you get him posed up, he does look pretty good. So articulation then, very good. On the head, he's really, really good. Fortunately, like I mentioned again, this is loose, so it allows him to kind of get that slight extra bit and just looks a bit more natural compared to Naruto one. So he's fine. This is where he looks up, looks down like so. His head's coming off a bit. So that might happen. His faceplate might pop off a little bit, and then he leans like so. So head's all pretty good, personally speaking. His arms are pretty decent as well. They are quite similar to Naruto as well. So you got this loose shoulder bit here. You got to play around on this. I always find these new shoulders a little bit more tricky to deal with. I think you can get a little bit higher than this, but just play around with it. You can twist it all the way around like so. I've now misplaced or kind of positioned the shoulder bit. So bring that back around. So like I said, I find these a little bit more fiddly. They do work, and they are, I would say, pretty sturdy for the most part. I don't have other issues with them other than it being a bit more fiddly than before. So I can put that back. There we go. Put that back. And then he doesn't have, well, he's got this little twist here, so which is fine. I don't mind that. And then he's got the elbow bend like so, phoning home or phoning his best friend Naruto. And then he's got the usual hand stuff, which is all fine. No issues there. All good. And bring his arms back as well. Torso is generally fine as well. Not the best, not the worst either. He does seem to struggle a bit leaning left to right. I don't really see that, but that's more down on the waist bit, so that's fine. And then the lower waist like so. Leaning back and then crunching forward. He doesn't really have any gaps either, just like Naruto. Like I said, I do mention the bit where the little bit of his back is shown, which I like. I really like that. It just kind of adds a little bit more. Yeah, just kind of makes it flowing a little bit better. Legs, pretty similar to Naruto that we saw before, like so. Kicks up, like so, and then bring back, like so. So all good with the legs. He's got, this is all loose, but I believe you can still twist it. Yeah, they just twist it at the knee, like so, and then you can bend the knee. I personally think his knees look a bit better, given that they're bare. Actually, they're not, you know, usually I would say people that have exposed knees or figures that have exposed knees, there's a high chance that it doesn't look very good. But for Sasuke, I think they actually look not bad, and potentially better than Naruto's one, which had the slight discoloration or mismatched coloration between his knees and the rest of his kind of pants. But he looks pretty good there. And then we've got the swivel here on a ball joint, and then the little pivot here, if I can get that to work. There we go, the pivot there, and then finally the toe hinge. So articulation is pretty simple, pretty standard stuff, and therefore pretty good stuff when it comes to this figure. So he can pose into some pretty, decent ninja poses. Yeah, sure, he can get ready and then do his, like, let's assume he's going to do his katon jutsu, then just blows it out. Pretty simple. Or as he's kind of leaping through trees, that's pretty simple to do as well. Most of this is kind of shared between all the other Naruto figures as well. How do these ninjas run? Of course, with arms behind their back, right? So sure, he can just kind of leap through trees and stuff. So it's all good. You'll get some decent poses out of him. It shouldn't be too much of an effort or problem to do that. Use some references out there. There's tons of episodes to use as references, so you shouldn't have trouble at all to get him into a good pose. Like I said, once you get him into a good pose, he does look much better. That's it. He's very simple otherwise, but let's talk about swapping some parts, and then we can bring out Kakashi and then Naruto as well, just to see them side by side. So to just do with him, he's easier. So if you remember the Naruto one, spiky here, Naruto is a bit harder to do, but fortunately this guy's spikes are backwards, so he's not going to be as painful. Pull it off like so. There, we've got the head off. We want to change the faceplate. Pull it out. Very simple. And we're going to do the Sharingan one because I like that face. It's my favorite one of this package. There we go. Simple. He's just yelling. So like I said, I would prefer if he had another expression with the eyes where his mouth is not open, he's not yelling. That would have been great to see. Sometimes it looks like he's got a bit of a long face because of his spikes. But his hair is being spiky in such an angle. But he looks pretty good otherwise. Doesn't look too bad. I think this is a much better face than this kind of puffy looking one here. I don't know, it just looks too puffy for me. If actually, good point to kind of mention, if you watched my Naruto video before, early on, just like many manga out there as well, the illustrations originally from like the first few chapters, they're always trying to find their way. But I always like those as well. I also like the way that everything looks a bit more exaggerated. And the same is with Sasuke. He's like much shorter, looks super exaggerated. He just looks very cool in the original illustrations or the first few chapters of the manga. But now this is more of a standardized look that most of the anime and most people will recognize. So not bad, but just something that I think looks a bit more boring as well. But again, not bad. So that's him with the Sharingan. We're going to change the left arm, to the Chidori effect piece. So this does work on both arms. So all you got to do actually, just line this up. There's a little hole, if I can find it, just right there. And then basically you want the longest strand on the outside and then just plug it in. You might feel it click, you might not. I found this one didn't click all the time. So let's just see if I can get that in. Hopefully that's in. Nope, it's not in. Just keep trying a couple of times. It should work. The reason I worry about this one is because there's too many strands kind of coming out, so I feel like I'm going to damage them at some point. And I think that's it. Yeah, that should be it nicely. So yeah, he won't have an actual hand that goes into that part. It's just going to be the ball peg. And then here we can have him unleash the Chidori, which is probably the most exciting that he's going to look. Sure, the Katon Jutsu is going to look pretty good as well, but personally speaking, yeah, I think this is probably the nicest and most action-packed that this guy is going to look. He looks very, very good. Once you got him into a really solid pose, he, using these effects parts, like I said, he just looks so much better all of a sudden. He just went from pretty boring-looking character. I keep having to remind as well, he's not dead boring, just a bit boring to me. But yeah, from pretty kind of standard to suddenly looks so much more exciting, shocking, exhilarating. Everything just looks so much better just from couple of different adjustments here and there. So definitely get him posed up because yeah, he just looks so much better all of a sudden. That's pretty much all that you need to do with him. Let's actually equip the Fuma Shuriken as well, just to kind of show you how that looks. It's not the most difficult thing to do, but it can be a bit fiddly. So I'm gonna get a hand equipped first and then do the Shuriken. Do it whichever way you're comfortable with. My hands are a bit greasy at the moment, so everything's kind of feeling a little bit slippery. So just plug the hand in. If I can get that in. Come on, Sasuke, let's go. Let's go, let's do it, come on. Get in there. I'm struggling a lot with this one. There we go. His hand is now in. And then we plug in, or not plug in, but we just place in the Fuma Shuriken. Like I said, I might have done it the wrong way, but it's okay. There we go. So you can now also have him hold this. I'm going to leave the Chidori bit on there, but let's just assume, oh no, yeah, he's dropped it. So that can happen. We'll just have to place it back and try again. Let's try again, Sasuke. Don't embarrass me, man. Embarrass the whole Uchiha clan and not embarrassing me. Gosh. Okay, so just kind of have that in, and there we go. You can see he looks pretty good. Just imagine the Chidori bit is not on there. I'm going to cover it a bit. There we go with 2 fingers. Yeah, he looks very good once you've got him posed up. I really do enjoy the way he looks once he's posed up. But that's it. Pretty good so far. Now I'm going to leave him there. I'm going to stand him up. There is going to be a balance issue once you've got that Fuma Shuriken attached to him. He's going to be a little bit heavy on one side. So play around with that. Definitely get a better support than just leaving him alone. So I'm going to bring out Uzumaki Naruto from the same line, which came out just before him, but I've also covered him quite recently, so check out that video if you haven't seen it already. There's Uzumaki Naruto. I've kind of left him with his chakra QB thing exposed. And then we've got Hatake Kakashi here as well. So this isn't Team 7 complete. Of course, we are missing Haruno Sakura as well, which hopefully we will get a version of her at some point. But I think so far, they look pretty good together. I would say out of the 3, for sure, he's actually my favorite in terms of the figures. He's obviously my favorite character, but he's definitely a very, very good figure. I really, really took to this figure. I think it's a fantastic figure and not very expensive either. Sasuke is just a little bit boring for me personally, but once you get him posed up, he does look good. Hatake Kakashi, I think, yeah, he's good. I'm just gonna be biased and say he's good. I can't remember what my true feelings were on him, but yeah, you can see all 3 of them line up nicely together. They look great, but we definitely need to fill the spot with Sakura at some point whenever that comes out. But otherwise, Sasuke is a very simple figure, quite easy to play around with, and yeah, once again, he looks much better once you've got him posed up and of course equipped with his Chidori or his Fuma Shuriken. Wrapping it up then, so it's not my favorite figure by any means. I do find some issues with it, but they're not going to be big issues to majority of people out there. His face is a bit puffy, for example, and having only one Sharingan face is a bit too limiting. However, that Sharingan face is very good, and once you get him posed up, especially in using the effect parts, he looks like a great figure. So Chidori pose, for example, he looks much, much better. So I highly recommend you take advantage and pose him up. If you have the Naruto figure in this lineup, it's going to look great with that anyway. Same with if you've got Kakashi as well. And hopefully one day we'll end up seeing Sakura as well to complete Team 7. If you are a big fan of Sasuke though, this isn't a bad figure and it's probably worth considering to pick up. But at the same time, we might get color variants down the road. So we might end up getting a version where he's wearing his black suit, which I really love that look of. So that's something I'm kind of hoping they do and seeing if that's going to be a better figure or not. And that wraps up the S.H.Figuarts of Uchiha Sasuke. Do check out my channel for more S.H.Figuarts Naruto unboxings, and I'll see you in the next one.